The Zorvathi research vessel hummed with sterile efficiency as it drifted through the outer rim. Its cargo holds filled with specimens from a dozen worlds. In Sulfur 7b, a creature sat motionless in the corner, her feline features barely visible in the dim blue light. Arabella's golden eyes tracked every movement beyond the energy barrier, her tail wrapped tightly around her legs. To the Zorvathi, she was simply specimen 191, a rare feloner from the forest moon of the HFY. They had no idea what they'd actually captured. Dr. Kethix approached the containment field, his four eyes gleaming with scientific curiosity. Fascinating specimen, he muttered into his recording device. Feloner females are typically docile when separated from their packs. This one shows unusual alertness. Arabella said nothing. Her universal translator had been confiscated, but she understood enough of their clicking language to know they considered her an animal. A valuable one, certainly destined for some collector's menagerie or a zoo on their homeworld, but an animal. Nonetheless, what the Zorvathi didn't know was that Arabella wasn't just any feloner. She was the wife of Brodie Morrison, human engineer, and the most stubborn man to ever leave Earth's atmosphere. And Brodie didn't take kindly to people stealing his wife. 3 systems away, Brodie sat in the captain's chair of the Relentless, a retrofitted human cargo hauler that had seen better days. His knuckles were white against the armrests as he studied the tracking data on his screen, the subcutaneous beacon he'd insisted Arabella get. After the incident on Proxima Station was still transmitting, a steady pulse that led directly into Zorvathi space. "You know this is insane, right?" his co-pilot, Jensen, said from the navigation console. "The Zorvathi Concordat doesn't recognize human marriage customs. To them, you're just some primitive trying to steal their property." Brodie's jaw clenched. "She's not property. She's my wife, a wife they don't know you have. They probably think she's just another animal they netted during their collection. Run, then they're about to get educated." The Relentless crossed into Zorvathi space without broadcasting identification codes. It was a declaration of intent that would have terrified any sane pilot. But Brodie had stopped being sane the moment he'd come home to find their quarters empty and scorch marks on the deck. Humans had a reputation in the galactic community. They were new, brash, and disturbingly emotional. Most species considered them barely civilized warlike primitives who'd somehow stumbled into faster-than-light travel. What those species failed to understand was that human emotion wasn't a weakness, that it was fuel. Back on the research vessel, Arabella heard the alarms before her captors did. Her ears swiveled, catching the distant wail of proximity warnings. A small smile crossed her feline features. He'd found her. Dr. Kethix rushed past her cell, barking orders into his communicator. Unidentified vessel approaching at impossible speeds. Battle stations. Impossible was a word that had never meant much to Brodie Morrison. The Relentless screamed out of FTL directly above the research vessel. An entry vector that should have torn the ship apart, but instead deposited it perfectly aligned with the Zorvathi ship's dorsal hull. Brodie had calculated the exit trajectory to the nanosecond, a feat of astrogation that would have impressed the galaxy's best pilots. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was trying to get his wife back. "Zorvathi vessel, this is Brodie Morrison of Earth." His voice crackled over their communications ray. "You have my wife in your cargo hold. Return her immediately, and I'll only disable your engines." Dr. Kethix's translator struggled with the human's accent, but the meaning was clear enough. "Your wife. We have no human females aboard. Only collected specimens from Sulfur 7b. Specimen 191. Golden eyes. Probably giving you that look that says she's planning exactly how to disembowel you." Brodie's voice was ice. "That's Arabella Morrison, citizen of the Human Federation, and my wife under both human and feloner law. You've got 30 seconds. The Zorvathi consulted their databases frantically. Humans had legal standing with the feloner. Since when did the feloner recognize pair bonding with other species? Their scientists had classified them as semi-sentient. 20 seconds. This is preposterous. We followed all collection protocols. The feloner are not." A warning shot from the Relentless, carved through the research vessel's sensor array. 10 seconds. "I'm an engineer, not a soldier, but my wife taught me a few things about precision. Next shot takes out your gravity generators. Ever tried doing science in zero-G while your organs are floating in the wrong places? Dr. Kefix made a decision based purely on self-preservation. Release specimen to 191. Immediately, the energy barrier flickered and died. Arabella stood gracefully, stretching muscles that had been coiled for hours. She walked past her former captors with her head high, her tail swishing with satisfaction. When she entered the Relentless's airlock, Brody was there waiting. He pulled her into his arms, breathing in the familiar scent of her fur. "Told you the beacon was a good idea," he murmured. Arabella purred against his chest, her claws gently kneading his shoulders, a gesture of affection that would have seemed dangerous to anyone who didn't know her. "My stubborn human," she said softly. "You threatened an entire research vessel for me." "Threatened?" Brody pulled back enough to meet her golden eyes. "Bella, I was ready to go through them." She believed him. That was the thing about humans that the galaxy kept learning the hard way. They formed bonds that transcended logic, treaties, or common sense. Those bonds made them do impossible things. As the Relentless jumped back into FTL, leaving the shaken Zorvathi behind, Arabella curled up in the co-pilot's seat. Jensen had wisely vacated it, giving the reunited couple space. "The Zorvathi will file a complaint with the Federation," she observed. "Let them." Brody's hand found hers, human fingers intertwining with fur digits. "I've got receipts. Marriage certificate, registered with both Earth and the feloner clans. They're the ones who committed an act of kidnapping." Arabella smiled, showing just a hint of fang. "You know what the clans say about humans now?" "What's that?" "That you're the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Not because of your weapons or your ships," she squeezed his hand, "because you love with the same intensity that you fight. And heaven help anyone who threatens what you love." Brody considered that for a moment, then shrugged. "Sounds about right." Behind them, the stars stretched into lines of light as the Relentless carried them home. And somewhere in the depths of space, the Zorvathi updated their databases with a critical new entry: feloner with human pair bonds were not to be collected under any circumstances. Some lessons the galaxy learned the hard way.